last week. Did everybody have a good week? I was so excited for some of my new friends who are just starting doing the intermittent fasting and how things are going with all of that. This is our second session here. I just want to remind you that I'm teaching out of the book Fast, Feast, Repeat. You don't have to have the book, but if you want something to read back at, this is a good book to have. This is, like I said, I'm going to be teaching you what she's teaching, and I have found it so helpful, and I'm so thankful to be here. So let's go ahead and open with a word of prayer. Lord, we love you, and we just thank you so much for this time together. And Lord, we just thank you that you have created us and you know how our bodies work the best. Lord, I just pray that you'll be with us as we talk about this intermittent fasting. I pray that you'll speak through me, open our hearts and our ears to hear what you have. And we pray for a blessing in your name. Amen. So like some of the little housekeeping things that we did last week, I'm going to talk for a little while and go through some of the slides. And then at the end, I'm going to do an interview with my friend Diane, who is doing the intermittent fasting. And we don't have a lot of people here, but if you have any questions, then we'll have a question and answer time. It was so cute. My mom listened to it on the YouTube last week, my little 78-year-old mother. She's probably looking right now. And she says, Cathy, I couldn't hear the questions, so you're going to need to pass the mic. And I thought, wow, thank you, Mom, for letting me know that we couldn't hear the questions. So it's just so cute how you get the little feedback. And then some people said it was a little confusing, this eating window and that kind of thing, but I knew that we were going to be talking about it today. So I knew that this is just going to keep building on each other. We're going to kind of go back and forth, and then each week it's going to get just a little bit easier. And for those of us who've been doing it for a while, it's still good to hear it. I'm still listening to fasting things. When there's times when I don't want to fast anymore, and I start reminding myself why it's so good for me and why it's healthy. So that's why we're doing it. But I'm going to start today with a story from the Bible. There were 4 Hebrew men, Daniel and his 3 friends. They were raised in Israel, and they were considered princes. Their parents taught them to love God, to honor the Bible, and to eat according to how God directed them to eat. Well, those boys had it really rough. Nebuchadnezzar came in and besieged their community and took all 4 of those boys captive. They say that Daniel and his friends were probably about 16 years old, just young men, and they had a lot of reasons to be angry. They could have gone the other route and said, Lord, we don't want to trust you. We don't want to do anything that you have for us because look what's happened to us. But that's not the choice that they made. Well, Nebuchadnezzar was a very smart man in that when he took people captive, he didn't just take them captive, he wanted to assimilate them into the culture. So he took those 4 boys and he changed their names. They went from Daniel to 3 other names, and the names were about the Babylonian gods. So they were trying to get them from God of heaven to the Babylonian gods. So they changed their names, and they were going to put them in a 3-year university to teach them how to be good Babylonians. And so the king was very excited because he said, well, I will give them the choicest meat, and they can drink my wine, and I will make them into good Babylonians. Well, Daniel knew that when his name was changed, in his heart, his name wasn't changed. He still had allegiance to God. But when it came time to eating the king's food, Daniel said no. He says, no, I can't do that. That would be defiling what I knew that I should do. And so he went to the chief of the eunuchs there, and he said, no, we can't do it. He said, give us a test. He said, show us, let us eat our regular diet. Let us drink water. Let us eat healthy food for 10 days, and then compare us to the other boys. Well, the eunuch didn't really want to do it because in those days, if you did something against the king, you got your head cut off. But God put it in his heart, and he said, okay, for 10 days, we will compare you to the other boys. And in just 10 days, Daniel and his friends looked better. They were healthier, and the eunuch couldn't deny it. So he allowed Daniel and his friends to eat the diet that God had recommended. And after 3 years, when those boys got tested, they were 10 times better than all of the other boys that had done the exact same thing. God is reminding us that when we do what he says to us, he will bless us. And if you think about it, aren't we living in a world that's trying to assimilate us? That's trying to change our names? I mean, we no longer have Columbus Day, right? We have Indigenous People Day. And we have all these other things that are changing us. And 40 years ago, they decided to change our diets. They told us that instead of eating 3 meals a day, we should be eating 6 meals. We should be snacking all the time, that we should be eating and eating and eating. And what's happened to us? We've all ended up pretty sick. And God wants us to start taking our lives back. And he basically wants us to say, give it 10 days. Now, for most of us who just started last week, it's been 7 days. But the thing that I think is so crazy is that you could really tell a difference in just 10 days. And that's how I've been feeling. I feel like I started this journey, and I can't believe how different I feel. And it's been more than 10 days, of course, but God wants to remind us that if we're doing what he wants us to do and following his diet, he's going to bless us. Don't you want to be 10 times smarter than all the other people? Don't you want to find out that you're successful in ways that other people aren't because you made a choice to follow the diet? I had a girlfriend today, and she said, Cathy, will you pray for me today because I have this thing that's just not making any sense at work, and I'm really upset, and it's really hard for me. And I said, Debbie, you know, the crazy thing is you've been honoring God by doing this fasting lifestyle, and I think he's going to honor you and give you extra wisdom to figure this out. So I am challenging God to help us to become better, not only with our diets, but in every area of our lives. But once we get this discipline, it makes such a difference. So we're going to start now with our time-restricted eating, and I'm going to start talking to you about some of the things that have been happening. And we're going to talk first about the eating window approach. It's been kind of fun for me because I went to a fundraiser on Sunday night, and a lot of the people from the church were there, and I was standing in line with my plate, you know, ready to get my food, and everybody kept asking me, Cathy, is your window open? Are you sure your window's open? And I'm like, oh, my window is wide open because I've been waiting, and I ate and I ate and I ate. And then it was cute. I looked at one of the men, and I said, do you think I could go back for seconds? He goes, well, sure, Cathy, is the window open? I said, yeah, I got 15 more minutes. And so I had the window, and I had my cupcake, and it was cute because I was going to reach for another little candy bar, but I saw, oops, 7 o'clock. And I didn't eat it. And so it's one of these things that has really become a part of my life, and it's made it fun because, like I said, yeah, the eating window is open. But we're going to look at the time-restricted eating and the eating window approach. So let's talk about the lingo, okay? Dan said last week it was a little confusing. So the lingo is we basically take 24 hours, and then you divide it up. You have your fasting hours, and you have your eating hours. Now, it's always going to be the bigger number is your fasting number. I hate to say that because usually what happens is that we want it to be eating most of the time, but the bigger number is always the fasting number. So if you look and someone goes, well, I'm doing a 16-8. Well, that means that they're fasting for 16 hours, and we talked about this last week, clean window or clean fast approved. You know, the water, the black coffee, the black tea. That I know it's terrible, but those are what makes the difference. And then you eat for 8 hours. Now, we don't want you to eat for every minute of those 8 hours, but you have your window that is open, and then you can eat at certain times, and then you will stop eating after the end of the 8 hours. So that's a 16-8. Well, how about a 19-5? Well, 19-5 is my favorite. I like the 19-5. I'm not sure why. She talks about that, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, that after 18 hours, your body really starts to ramp up and burn fat. So I like that extra hour of fat burning before I want to eat. But I'm going to fast for 19 hours and then I eat for 5. So what it usually looks like for me is at work I can stop eating. I start eating maybe at 1 and I stop at 6. Or if I know I'm going to have dinner at Doris's house, I start eating at 2 and then I stop at 7. So I just kind of do the 5 hours. But it doesn't have to be that way because some people start early and then they go later. But the 19.5, the bigger number is the fasting number, and the littler number is the eating window. So then 24. So you see how it works, right? You can fast for 20 hours. You eat for 4 hours, and then you close your window. Now, that's going to be that's a little strict there, and you're going to probably work up to that if you ever even get to that point. But those are the different lingos, and, it's just like anything else, like dentistry or anything. You've got your fasting thing. It was so funny. We have OMAD, 1 meal a day. I remember Eva when she was first reading the book and she texted me. She goes, "Oh, Cathy, I can't wait to get to OMAD." And I put a question mark. I said, "What? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, 1 meal a day." And I thought, "Oh, okay." Now, I know 1 meal a day kind of sounds restrictive, but if you talk to Jen Stevens, and she's been doing this intermittent fasting for 3 or 4 years now, so she's kind of a pro at it. She says she does 1 meal a day within a 4 to 5 hour eating window. She says she does it like fine dining. Because if you go out to a fancy restaurant, you get your appetizer, right? And then you get your soup or your salad, and then you get your entree, and then there's a dessert, and Jen Stevens drinks wine. I don't drink wine. I'd have a diet soda. But what she does is she opens with an appetizer, and then an hour later she has her salad, and then a little bit later she has her main entree. She finishes with dessert, and then she has her wine, and she does it within a 4 to 5 hour window. So you kind of play with it. Does that make sense? It's not just 1 meal on a plate and that's it for the day, because that's kind of sad. But you can stretch things out and make them work. So that's the lingo. So like I said, when you hear people talking the lingo, if you don't understand it, just say, "Excuse me, Cathy, I don't get, what are you talking about?" But the bigger number is always the fasting number, and the smaller number is always the eating window. So to decide an intermittent fasting lifestyle, you have to remember how it helps us access our stored fat. Okay, so that's really the key. Why are we doing this intermittent fasting? Because we want to access our stored fat. We don't want, we're not doing the diet just because it feels good or we think we want to. We want to make sure we know how it goes. And we need to remember that we deplete our stored liver glycogen over time. So if you've been doing this first week of your intermittent fasting, you're probably just finally getting to the point where you're depleting your stored liver glycogen, okay? So you have quite a bit that's around there. But that's the stuff that you want to burn up first. And then we flip the metabolic switch and transfer to fat burning during the fast. Does that make sense? So like my friend Chris, she said she has a friend that she says, "Well, I do intermittent fasting all the time and I haven't lost any weight." And I told her probably what she's doing is when she's fasting, yes, that's good, but she eats so much in her eating window all day long, all the time, that she never does deplete her stored liver glycogen. So the key is that you really want to get into that fat burning store, so you burn the glycogen so that you can flip the switch to the fat burning. Now remember, it's like a light switch. If there's too much insulin in your body, the light switch is on, and you're going to be storing fat. And if you have the insulin out of your body and you've been fasting and your blood sugar is lower, then you're going to start burning your liver glycogen. The light switches flip down, and then pretty soon you're going to start burning fat. And that's the exciting thing. Remember, we talked about your fat-burning superpowers. And we all want fat-burning superpowers, don't we? Now, you can tell sometimes when you have flipped the switch. I've noticed that when I'm starting to burn fat, I kind of get bad breath sometimes. I can kind of taste it in my mouth. I don't really love that. I don't grab a mint, but you can brush your teeth. So there are little things you can do to alleviate it. But I can kind of start telling when my body is actually burning fat. And that just feels good. It feels like I'm doing what it's supposed to do. But two things must happen. You must fast sufficiently to deplete your stored liver glycogen. And so you cannot eat so much food that you totally refill your liver glycogen every day, or worse, store excess food as fat. So now I know I told you last week that you can eat whatever you want in your window. Well, for the first 28 days, I say yes. You can eat whatever you want in your window because you're trying to get to where you are learning how to do the clean fast. You're learning how to do the fast. It's hard on our bodies to fast sometimes. It takes a little while. But once you start getting the fast down, yes, you can't eat the whole entire 8 hours of everything bad, or else you're going to end up storing fat again. Does that make sense? But what I have found is that after I start getting used to not eating as much and doing the fasting, I'm not as hungry. I find that I'm pretty well satisfied after certain things. We went out yesterday was the boss's day, and so we had to take Sean out for food. So we went to the Habit, and I hate to tell you this, but my window was open. So I had the veggie burgers and the French fries and then the dessert when I got back. And it was absolutely delicious, but I was stuffed. Now, any other time, I could have probably eaten more and more dessert, but that burger and those fries were enough for me. And I found that I really didn't have to eat that much later on because it filled me up. So you're going to learn that your bodies are going to start to change, and that pretty soon you find that you're more satisfied than you think that you're going to be when you're doing the fasting. Now, Dan said he didn't realize this last week, and this is the thing that's really gets you, is that fat burning benefits happen between 12 and 16 hours. So that's good, right? But it really ramps up between 18 and 24 hours. So if you're looking to lose weight after the first 28 days, you want to stay in a little bit longer fasted mode because then your fat's going to burn a little bit better. Now, that's why I choose the 19.5. I like the 19.5, and I'm eating more because I'm in maintenance and that kind of thing. But when I was trying to lose weight and get things going, the 19.5 worked well for me because I felt like my fat burning was ramped up. I felt like I had plenty of time to eat in that 5-hour window, and then could close it, felt satisfied, and then I felt like I was burning the right amount of fat at the time. Now, I tell some people if you're really, after the 28 days, you're really looking to lose weight, then you might want to do a 24-hour fast once in a while. You know, just try to egg it out. Remember, I told you in my testimony last week that when I first started doing this fasting thing, I just fasted 24 hours once a week. That's where God had me started. And then we started working up to the intermittent fasting. So that's kind of good too. So that's what will ramp me up a little bit. I think, oh, I'm hungry. I sure would like to eat something. Man, are those cookies at the table? And I think, well, I'm already at 15 hours though. I don't want to blow it now. I want to go a little bit longer so that I can get the fat burning that I really want. So remember, between 18 and 24 hours, it really ramps up. But 12 to 16, you're still burning fat. So that's why we're wanting to do the intermittent fasting. So the daily eating window and the flexibility of intermittent fasting. So like I said, when I first started doing this, I just fasted once a week. And I went from breakfast to breakfast, and that was kind of hard on me. And then I ate normal throughout the rest of the week. And I, like I said, was always sad because it seemed like every time I turned around it was Monday again, and I was fasting. But then as I kind of got into it and I started listening to other books and things, that's when I found this book, the Fast, Feast, Repeat. And we talked about the daily eating windows. And there's so much flexibility to this intermittent fasting lifestyle, and that's what I love about it. We're not following a diet. We're not doing this. I make it work with my life, which is going to look different than Diane's life or Cathy's life or Gloria's life, but we all can, and then our lives change, so it's been easy to make it work. So there's different eating window preferences. And so it all depends. I say that 61% prefer an evening eating window. So I would think like Jen Stevens. She starts eating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she eats till about 9. Well, I'm asleep by 9, so that evening window doesn't work well for me. But she likes it, and so for some people, waiting all day works perfectly. But some people prefer or favor a midday eating window. So I'm finding that I like that one a little bit better. I find that I'm starting to want to eat about 1 to 5 or something like that. At first, I did the 2 to 7 or 8 because I couldn't stop eating. I would get home and I would just snack. I was just a snacker. And so I really have gotten to where I've worked into a midday window. Does that make sense? I've adapted to that, but at first, oh yeah, once I started eating, I didn't stop. I snacked. I would go to the Bible study, and I would be driving home at 8 o'clock at night, and I would be talking to Diane, eating something, and then I would get home, and before I would go to bed, I would still be eating. It was just stress eating. I was tired. It had been a long day, and the food gave me comfort. So now I just go to sleep. So I have kind of stretched it out. So like I said, you're going to find that what works for you now may not work for you later. Now, 2% choose a morning eating window. And some people like Maxine, we're going to talk to her next week. She does a morning eating window. She can stop eating at 2 or 3. Now, some people like you do, my sister-in-law does it too. She likes to start eating at 10. So she does the 10 to 4 because she wants cream in her coffee too, and she wants to enjoy it. And she's able to stop at that time. So it just kind of depends on who you are. But what I love is that we all have different preferences. And now 12% switch up the time of their eating window from day to day. Now, I have gotten to that point. I've gotten to where I switch up my eating window. People will ask me, so what is your eating window? And I tell you, I have no idea. So it just depends. Like I said, yesterday's window opened early because we took Sean out to eat, but it was open later because I had a fundraiser. And then I kind of had a longer window today because I had a lot of food going on. So I just kind of made it adjust. So I like to adjust my eating window, but I'm 10 months in, so it's a lot easier to do it that way. Like I said, my brother, he does 12 to 6. It's very routine every single day. And like I said, he's lost 30 pounds and his diabetes is going away. So it just depends, but everybody has a different eating window. I wasn't going to put this in. There's a whole chapter on alternate day fasting protocols, the up and down approach. But I decided that since it was in the book, I should talk about it. And I think it's worth talking about because there's different ways of doing the intermittent fasting. Now, we had done the eating window approach where you eat every day, but there is such an approach as the alternate day eat fasting, and it may work for you. My friend Janet, she said she had a really hard time this weekend because she had her kids over for breakfast before church, and then she had a tea with her mom, and she had all sorts of things going on, and then things happened on Sunday. So she really couldn't do a window because there were so many family gatherings. So she ate most of the weekend. Well, I get that. But with this alternate day fasting, it could work for you. So basically what happens with this is instead of the window, you have an up day or a down day, okay? So on a down day is when you're not eating, and on an up day is when you eat normal. Okay, I don't want to throw anybody off, but this is an option for some people. So basically what you do is you wake up on a down day, and then you stick to clean, fast, approved beverages all day, and you go to bed without eating. So basically you pick a day and you don't eat that day. And then you wake up the next day, and it's an up day, and then you eat normal that day. So you can see where this might work. I found out as I kept reading this book that when she started losing her weight, the Jen Stevens, she's lost 80 pounds. She did this up and down day approach quite a bit to get things kick-started. And then when she got to a point where she really liked her weight, then she was able to do the eating window thing. So she found, I'll access it. So she found that after she could have 2 down days, so she wouldn't eat on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then she could eat normal on her weekends. But she found to lose weight, she really had to have 3 down days. Well, that sounds very daunting to me. And so, but she would have like, she wouldn't eat on Mondays. Monday would be a down day. Then she'd eat normal on Tuesday. Then Wednesday would be a down day. Then she'd eat normal on Thursday. Friday would be a down day. And then she ate all she wanted on the weekends. And she found that this way her metabolism kept steady and she was able to lose weight. So sometimes if you're going to have one of those really, really busy weeks or weekends where you feel like you're going to be eating a lot all the time, sometimes this is a good way to have a day where you just don't eat that day. And it's an alternate way that people do it. It's not my real choice on things. They say that the benefits, though, is that you have increased autophagy. You remember we talked about this last time. Our bodies get into autophagy after 18 to 24 hours, and that's when our body is cleaning up. It's eating the bad cells. It's making sure everything's going well. So if you do the up and down day approach, you're fasting a little bit longer, so you have more autophagy, and there's more time in fat burning mode. Because you say the fat burning ramps up after 24 hours, so you can do that. But the down thing is it's psychologically difficult to skip a whole day of eating, particularly at first. And I'll be honest with you, there was one time there's been a few times that I've done the 24-hour and skipped a whole day of eating, and it is hard because you didn't have anything to look forward to, which makes me kind of sad that food is what we look forward to. And I think it was good discipline for me, but I don't think it's a thing that I can do all the time. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's an alternative thing. Sometimes people will tell me, well, Cathy, I've been doing this now for 2 months, and I haven't seen the scales go down or any inches come off. What should I do? Well, I will maybe sometimes tell them maybe we need to go 24 hours just to kind of jumpstart our metabolism. But definitely don't want to have 2 down days in a row, because you want your metabolism to know what it's doing. You want it to be revved up, and then you're keeping it guessing by fasting the next day. And it's a good way to burn weight. It's just, like I said, psychologically difficult to skip a whole day of eating. Like I said, now I find that it's a little bit easier, but it's been 10 months. I think now that maybe I could be a contestant on Survivor, and I wouldn't be quite so hungry. Isn't that crazy? I thought maybe I could do this without wanting to eat the whole entire time. So it's just kind of like a discipline, but it's an option, but it's not for everybody. So we have what we call an intermittent fasting toolbox. My husband loves toolboxes. He's got tools everywhere to fix all sorts of things. So why wouldn't we have something that helps us with our toolbox? I know it seems crazy because you would think that fasting is just easy. It's just not eating. But really what I'm finding is that fasting is a lot up here. It's a lot of psychology, a lot of, I don't know, I play a lot of games with myself. I just think, well, maybe I could go an extra hour, or I'm going to tweak this here or do that there. So there's a toolbox that we're going to talk about. Now, one of the things that's kind of hard about our bodies is homeostasis. Our body has a system in place to ensure we maintain an environment that remains within certain ranges. Our weight often falls under homeostasis. You know what I mean? When you're working out and I'm riding my exercise bike and my body's getting hot, well, God has designed it where I'm going to sweat so that everything works the same. We have all sorts of things set into place, and we all know that we all have a weight that our body seems to like that we don't like. And so that's one of those things where, like I said, 30 pounds ago, I was at a weight that my body was perfectly happy with, but my blood pressure wasn't. Does that make sense? I was okay in my jeans. I was okay with what I did, but I had 180 over 100 blood pressure. I could have popped at any given moment. Even when I took blood pressure medicine, I was not healthy at that weight, but my body liked that weight. I'm a little nervous about it because my body's probably going to want to start crawling back up to that weight, but I am going to measure my blood pressure. When we did I did my weight and I did all my measurements. I made Dan take pictures of me, like we were supposed to on our first day. But my biggest thing was my blood pressure. And my blood pressure was 126 over 69 without any medication. That is my marker. I am so happy because I am not going to explode. I am at a healthy blood pressure, and I know that's what I was shooting for. But our bodies really do love to stay where we're supposed to be. And there's all sorts of hormones and things that go on. We're not talking about all that. You can look it up in the book, but there's a lot of things that are working to keep the weight on us. And that's why we're going to be kind of mixing it up and making our bodies guess, because that way it's not thing. So switching things up from time to time is a great idea. They tell me that on my exercise. I hate that. I like riding my exercise bike in the morning. That is my time with God. And so when they tell me to switch that up, I'm probably not going to do that. But I try to walk and I try to do some other things. But with the fasting, I think switching it up does work sometimes, just to keep our body guessing. So some of the options for the intermittent fasting to switch it up is you can switch your intermittent fasting approach completely. So you can go from the eating window and say, I'm not having any good results, and this week I'm feeling pretty daring. And then you could do the up and down day approach for a week. It doesn't mean you have to stay with it all the time, but you might want to do that just to kind of get your body moving again, do some fat burning. See if you can do it. Sometimes I like to just see if I can do it. And when I do, I'm very proud of myself. I know that sounds nuts, but I just think, wow, Cathy, you could do this. And I have friends that text me and say, I had no idea that I could do this. And so it's good kind of to mix up the approaches. If you're not getting the results that you want, you can alternate your eating window lengths. I do that a lot. Like I said, sometimes I do the 19:5. Sometimes I do the 18:6. Sometimes I eat all day, and sometimes I don't eat at all. So it just depends on how the day works and how my family's doing. And then you could create a hybrid approach. So you have your eating windows, 6 days a week, and then you do an up and down for one weekend. And up and down would be good if you knew you were going to have a big weekend and you were going to have family over the whole time, maybe have a down day on Friday, and then eat without guilt at all on Sunday or Saturday and Sunday, and then start back with your eating window on Monday. It just, like I said, makes it work for whoever wants to do it, and it's easy to do it. And like I said, for me, it feels like a game in a way. I don't know. And I think the other thing I was thinking last night is that you could actually, we used to have to meal prep and have all our meals for the week and plan our meals. Well, you could plan your fasting for the week. You could say, I've got this going on and this going on and this going on. So I'm going to do this day, this day, and have it all written out for a week. And then that way there's no surprises, and it works. Now, I don't like to have mine written out because I like to surprise myself. I don't like to think that I'm going to be fasting for 24 hours. It makes me nervous, and I just think, I don't know if I can do it. But if I'm like at 19 hours and I'm feeling pretty good, I think, I bet I can go 5 more. And then I play that game, and I let myself go for 5 more, and I think, I did it! And then I eat. Or I'll add it to a night or something like that. So like I said, you could write it out, you can make it work, but like I said, work with it and you'll find that it's kind of fun. So now there are some no's to fasting. Now I am so enthusiastic, you know how I am. I'm an intermittent fasting enthusiast now, so I want to just tell everybody about it. But unfortunately, it is not for everybody. Now, when my dad started doing the fasting for his prostate cancer, my mom thought that she should do it with him. Wow, my mom is a thin little lady anyway, and she has all sorts of stomach issues, and she has a hard time eating and this kind of thing. And I came in one night, and she just looked pale. And I said, Mom, what happened to you? She goes, well, I think I ate too much during my window, and when can I eat next? And I was like, Mom, this isn't for you. Yeah, you just follow your little protocol, and you stay healthy, and you be okay. And hi, Mom, I know you're watching, so it's okay. We're trying to get Dad to lose the weight, because Dad's the one who drinks 4 Pepsis a day and eats all night long. You're doing fine. So if you have friends and family that have a few health issues and can't do it, then the fasting isn't for them, but they can cut out the snacking. You get learning to do that, and cutting out the snacking makes a huge difference. So now the first red flag to know is over-fasting. Now, in some of the books that I've read, that isn't this Fast Feast Repeat, some of the ladies had like 300 pounds. So they had 120 pounds to lose. So some of those ladies, they actually did like 10-day fasts. Now, under a doctor's care, everything, and they found that it worked pretty well, but that's kind of over fasting, I think. If you look at uh, the science behind it, um, you can fast up to 72 hours or 3 days, and your metabolism will stay high and ramped up. But after that, your metabolism starts to slow down, and it's kind of hard to get it back after a little bit. So I don't really recommend a huge long fast unless your doctor is right there with you doing it. Otherwise, and then if you start, I don't know, I like food too much. That's my crazy thing. I love the fasting, but I love the eating. So I'm not worried about the over fasting for me because I'm making it work. Then the just say no to the disordered eating behavior. Well, some people have disordered eating. I knew somebody growing up that was binging and purging. He said that Doritos were very easy to eat and throw up. And so that would be disordered eating. And fasting is not disordered eating. Fasting is just saying no to food for a while and then eating when it's time. But if you find that if you're starting to fast and you start getting a little crazy about it and you don't want to eat and things are going crazy, then you need to stop and then reevaluate things. But they say that disordered eating has more to do up here than with the actual eating. But if you find that that's a problem, then you need to be careful about it. Physical maturity. If you notice, we didn't ask kids 18 and under to come to this because they're still growing. We want to make sure you don't want to say, oh, my 12-year-old's a little chunky. I wonder if she should fast. No, she shouldn't. She's still growing. But what we find is that if you are watching your eating, then you're not going to be giving them snacks all the time. At camp meeting, Diane and I were doing the eating window, and her daughter was there, and her grandchildren were there. And what we found is that her grandchildren just didn't snack all the time because we weren't snacking all the time. So they got 3 good meals, yes, but they were doing well with their weight too because we just weren't eating all the time. We just had our certain times we ate, we closed our windows. And you know what the crazy thing was? We had a great time, didn't we? Yeah, we just enjoyed. It wasn't all about the food. We had plenty of other things to be doing than fixing meals all day long. So, but you're going to be looking, and there's going to be times where you're thinking to yourself, well, I wonder if Johnny, is at this age and he's looking. No, but Johnny doesn't need to be eating McDonald's either. So, there's just things that you can change some of their diets because that's important. Now, pregnancy, of course, you're growing a baby. So my daughter has been growing 2 babies, and in the last 4 years, she's either been growing a baby or feeding a baby. So, of course, this is not a time for her to be doing any kind of intermittent fasting. She wants to be giving the best to her baby. And so if you're pregnant, of course, we're not going to have you doing the fasting. And then with the breastfeeding, you would think that it would be a no-brainer about the breastfeeding. But the interesting thing is that a lot of people will say, well, I have plenty of energy to make milk. But the crazy thing is you're going to find this too, that after a couple weeks and you start burning fat, you're going to feel a little sluggish. I hate to tell you that because, I want to be all gung-ho about things, but you're going to start feeling a little sluggish because we store toxins and the bad things in our fat. There's a lot of times the environment that we have, the chemicals in our food, our body doesn't know what to do with them, so they will be stored in our fat. So when our body starts to burn the fat, then you're going to be excreting these chemicals, which is good because we want them out of our body, and they're going to either go through your urine, they're going to go out through your sweat, your liver's going to process them, but while you have them in your body, you're going to feel kind of sick. You're going to be a little sluggish, and that's in a way good. Rest. Take a little time to tell yourself, I'm doing this for my body, and I want it to be healthy. But if you're nursing, you don't want that baby to be getting all those toxins in the breast milk. So you want to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be while you're doing that. So if you're fitting in any of those categories, that's just a just say no category, and that's okay. You can start fasting later, or like I said, if you're somebody who's not up to fasting like my mom, then you can not snack all the time, and there's ways to be healthy. So the fast start, now we actually started the fast start last week, the first 28 days. So we're 7 days in. And I hope you all took your measurements. I hope you took your weight. And like I said, took your pictures. And like I said, for me, the big deal was my blood pressure. I just, like I said, when I get hungry and I think I don't know if I want to do this fasting right now, I take my blood pressure and I get so happy. And then it motivates me. So find what motivates you, because that's what we're looking for. You want the health markers. I keep telling everybody, I'm 59 years old. I'm not doing this for how I look. I'm doing this for how I feel. And I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I want to go on hikes. I want to be healthy. I don't want to worry about my life. So our fast start is our first 28 days. So here's the lingo. We've got the acronyms. We had a pastor, Jerry Nelson, who loved acronyms. Whenever he did a sermon, we always had all these acronyms, and he memorizes everything with acronyms. So the fast start is easy to remember, and there's 4 things that we need to do, and I know we started doing them last week, but I'm going to keep reiterating them because this is what our life is going to be now. It's not just a diet. It's not really just 28 days. It's going to be a lifestyle. So the first one is fast clean. Now, fasting clean is not negotiable. Every minute you're fasting, you're following guidelines for a clean fast. If you're not fasting clean, then you're just doing a low-calorie diet. I can't emphasize this enough. I did not start losing weight. I did not see the health benefits until I stopped having cream in my coffee, and I stopped having diet sodas all day, and I quit drinking Crystal Light all day, and I didn't have mints all the time. And in my mind, well, I wasn't eating food, so of course I was okay. But every sip of that secreted insulin. And remember, we know if we have too much insulin in our bodies, our light switches on, and we're storing fat. We're not burning fat. And so the clean fast is the key. Like I said last week, I kind of had that rough throat, and I wouldn't put any honey on my throat or drink anything because I was in my eating window, I was in my fasting window. So you start to figure it out. And then, like I said, you can have the cream or start at 10, and then you can have your cream and your coffee. You make it work. But while you're fasting, you fast clean, and that's when you're going to be burning the fat. Like I said, I will always talk to people, and they'll say, well, I don't really eat that much. And then they'll tell me, well, they eat here and they eat there, and it's just enough to ruin the fast. And so we don't want to ruin the fast. We want to be fasting clean. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to adapt. Your body's going to adapt to this new lifestyle and learn how to tap into your fat stores over time, right? It takes a while. I sometimes think it's fun because I've been doing this over 10 months now, and nobody noticed I had done anything until I lost 20 pounds. So I started doing this in January, and probably nobody noticed until May or June. So when people say, well, Cathy, I want the results that you have, well, no, it takes a while. It's not going to happen overnight. It's just not going to happen. It's a journey. So what you need to do is adapt and learn how to tap into your fat stores and realize that it's a lifestyle. This is how I'm going to live from now on. And some days it's going to work and some days it's not. Some days I'm going to lose a little weight. Some days I'm not going to. On Sunday, I had Filipino food at that fundraiser, and like I told you, I had a lot of Filipino food. And when I got on the scales the next day, I was up 3 pounds. So you're going to see that things are up and things are down. I've got this going on and that going on. But I have the tools to get the 3 pounds off, don't I? And I know how that it's a lot of salt and a lot of other eating. So I'm adapting to how my eating was going. But I love to know that I'm burning my fat stores. I love to know that my body is acting just exactly how it's supposed to be working. So you just adapt to how your life is going. But then you start settling in. You'll settle into a predictable fasting routine. You're going to embrace the changes that you experience along the way, and then take note of how you feel as the weeks progress. So it's not always, and we're going to talk about this, it's not always about weight loss. It's not about, it's about how do you feel? Do you feel pretty good? Do you feel more energetic? Do you feel like you're in control? I mean, a lot of the things aren't even physical as much as just mental. I love my girlfriend today. She says, I can't even believe that I can do this. I waited till noon. And I said, I know. Isn't this great? You just, you look for the little bit of progress. Like I said, I had this thing on my neck, and my body was healthy, and it's gone now. Those were little things of progress. I don't snore as much as I used to. I snore a little bit, but I'm not sawing logs all the time. That is progress. I've got my blood pressure down. I'm looking for those little markers. And like I said, I'm able to wake up in the morning and play with my grandkids. I don't roll out of bed going, oh, this is terrible. I'm happier with life. I wanted to put this seminar together. I've settled in, and I'm looking at the little markers on what makes things better. And then you tweak it. You can adjust your routine. If you don't feel good, extend your window. If you feel great, close your window early and make it work for you. Last week I didn't feel so great. I don't know if I had allergies. I wasn't sick, but I was just tired. And so I didn't fast as long last week. And that was okay. I didn't have the energy to do it, and I stayed on the couch and I relaxed. Now this week I feel better, and so I feel great, and so I can fast a little bit longer. But tomorrow I'm going to start eating at noon, and Wednesday's Minchie's yogurt day. So I have my little lunch, and then I go eat my Minchie's yogurt, and then we've got a women's meeting at an Italian restaurant. So I'm going to be eating pretty good tomorrow, and so I adjust it. And then Thursday I'll probably watch a little bit more, and then so like I said, it's just up and down. I mark out my week. I've got it figured out. I go with it, and it works. Now, we're almost at the end of this, and then Diana and I are going to talk about how things are going. And she says this, and she says it over and over, do not expect to lose any weight or inches during the first 28 days. Now, I know a lot of us are past the 28 days, but for those of you who are just starting, I know, Cathy, we started this for the weight loss. What do you mean I'm not going to see any results? Well, it took us a long time to get here. Like I said, I've been eating 6 meals a day since I was 22, and I'm 59 now. I've had too much insulin in my body for a long, long time. I didn't lose the weight right off the bat. I didn't lose the inches. It takes a while. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle that's going to guarantee that you get healthier, but not in days. It's going to take a little while. And you know what? It's so worth it. So when we wrote down our weight and our measurements and our blood pressure, the reason I told you not just to put it away and not look at it yet is because if you don't lose any weight or any inches, I don't want you to get discouraged because your body is healing. You have to think of it that way. Your body is working hard. It's depleting that glycogen. It's starting to switch to fat burning mode. It doesn't just switch to fat burning mode like this. It takes a little while because it's been so out of fat burning mode. Does that make sense? Our hormones are getting rebalanced. And as we're burning fat, we've got toxins that we have to excrete. During this process, I've had a few massages and had them really just work out some of those toxins in my body because I just want that stuff out of here. And but you feel a little sick for a while too. So give yourself some grace. And this next week will be a little bit harder. Usually the first couple weeks you're okay. By the third week though, you're feeling a little run down. I want you to expect that. But then just realize it's because you're burning fat and you're excreting toxins and you are detoxifying. So here's our second week of fasting. So the easy does it approach, you're going to have a 10-hour window. So that means that you're fasting for 14 hours and you have a 10-hour window. Now, a 10-hour window, you can eat a lot of food. So you want to just try not to snack, maybe a couple snacks, light eating, and a good dinner, and know that the window's open, but you can't eat the whole 10 hours or your glycogen stores will be replaced. It's just a little too much. But if that works for you, perfect, because we're just starting to get our fasting muscles. But on the steady build approach, there's going to be a 7-hour window. So you're going to fast for 14 hours. And is that it? No, no, you're fasting longer. Okay, 17 hours. Gotcha. Thank you. So you're going to be fasting for 17 hours and then eating for 7. Well, you're going to find if you have a 7-hour window, that's a pretty good amount. You can have a good lunch, a good dinner, a snack in between, and still get a good amount of fasting. 17 hours. What did we learn? The fat burning starts between 12 and 16, and then ramps up between 18 and 24. So you've got fat burning going there, and then if you're going to rip off the bandage approach, you're going to go for a 6-hour eating window. Like I said, that's what my brother does. That's what I do a lot. You're going to fast for 18 hours, which gets you solidly into a fat burning mode, and then you're going to eat for 6 hours. So it's very simple, very easy, but I want you to be doing what works for you this time, this next week. So, and then remember, we learned you can adjust it, you can tweak it, you can have it in the morning, you can have it midday, you can have it in the evening, depending on how everything works for you. But that's how we're going to make this next week work. So now, this was the end of this one. I'm going to have Diane come up, and we're going to have our little testimonial. This is my friend. Oh, are we too close? This is my friend Diane. Are we too close, Dan?
Yeah.
Should I just use? Okay. This is my friend Diane, and we've been best friends forever. And one of the things that I've learned in this intermittent fasting thing is that you don't want to tell somebody about the intermittent fasting lifestyle unless they're ready for it. Does that make sense? Because if you're not ready to do anything about your weight or your health or anything, then somebody perky and cheerful like me is very annoying. And they look at you and they think, oh, well, I do this and I don't do that. So I wait until somebody brings it up. And now, I mean, here, it's nice because I can just talk about it and I'm having a lot of fun. But I kind of wait for somebody to bring it up. So Diane and I are talking on the phone. We always talk on the phone driving home. And what were we talking about?
Well, we had been at these Tuesday night Soul Sisters, and I missed a couple because I work late on Tuesday nights normally. And that one night that we'd been there, I saw Cathy, and I see Cathy all the time, so I know that she diets a lot. I know that she's always on a diet.
Yeah.
So I saw her and I saw how you see her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened? What did she do?
Yeah.
So I asked her, I said, Cathy, looks so good. What are you doing? And then 40 minutes of hearing about this.
Oh, yeah, because I was waiting for her to ask, and I just thought, oh, my goodness, she's asked, and so I did. I got all excited because I've just seen so many things, and so what I'm teaching you here, I talked about, and then what did you say?
Well, I mean, that's basically the lifestyle that I do anyway, but I wasn't doing any of the clean fasting. I've been not really a dieter. I don't eat breakfast. Everybody tells you have to eat breakfast, so you try to eat, and then that made me hungry. I had a lot of eating things, but I never wanted to eat. I don't think about eating, but when it's good food like a pizza, I want to eat the pizza. I want to eat food. I don't want to eat salad. I don't want to eat carrots. I don't want to eat the stuff that she eats on a regular basis. I don't want to eat any of that. So I would want to eat food, and I couldn't. So then I would just be making my husband's food, and I taste it to see if it's good. And in the evening, I put cream in the coffee, which I never usually had cream in the coffee, but it was a treat. And you'd get a flavored coffee like a hazelnut and think it's a dessert. And I wasn't really eating that much, but every once in a while, I get a bag of like Cheetos because I'm hungry, or Cheez-Its. I hadn't eaten all day, and you're having that, and you're thinking, well, I really didn't eat hardly anything. And then go to dinner and pick a little salad and have no dressing and everything, and you're just thinking, I'm not super big, but I want to be littler. I mean, I used to be really little, and to me, I don't like to talk about it because other people struggle more than I did. But when she told me, I thought, I'm doing that already. I can quit having cream in the coffee because I don't put cream in the coffee anyway, and I can quit tasting food. And I took mints all day long, sugar-free mints all day long, because I was having that taste because I was starving. My body was starving, and it wasn't losing fat because it thinks I'm starving.
Yes, her metabolism was so low. She would tell me what she was eating. It's like, Diane, that's no food at all. It wasn't a muffin, but she would have so many mints throughout the day that her insulin was high enough that her switch was on, and so she was in fat storing mode, even though she wasn't eating any food.
And I even drank unsweetened iced tea. I'm not even a big soda drinker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was kind of like when she said it, I thought the next morning, I hadn't read the book. I hadn't heard any talks or anything. It's just what she told me that I can do that. So I just didn't eat. So it's kind of come easier, I think, for me than what I read in the book. Some people really struggle with a lot of stuff. But I just kept track on my phone, and every day, I didn't know about the 28 days really, but I just would do. So I started immediately. I did the rip the Band-Aid. So I did like 19 hours and 5 hours of eating. But for me, I have a job that if you start eating at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I'm still working till 6 or 7. So I could have a lunch, but by then I never could eat another mite of food, nothing. And I'd be like, oh, my window's going to be over. So I just started now. I start eating a little later if I want to eat something with my husband, if I know we're going out. But I do a lot of the 20. I do like a 2 hour because I eat, when I eat, though, it drives Cathy crazy. I eat food. I
love it.
I literally don't worry about what I eat when I do eat because I eat the veggie burger from the Carl's Jr. with the fries. I eat Subway sandwich, the 10-foot long with the chips. I eat, I like chicken nuggets. I'm mostly vegetarian, but I think those are vegetarian if you did a test on them.
Yeah.
Chicken nuggets, I eat things. Cathy dies because she's a dieter, but I like eating food. And pizza, we get pizza every Friday night now. I pick up pizza. We eat pizza, which I was always afraid to eat because it looked like, oh, you're pigging out. And I eat till I'm full, which the book says. You learn to eat till you're full. And I really don't even think about eating. I seriously don't think about eating. After that, I don't care if I have a donut or I'm not a donut eater.
Yeah, no.
I like ice cream, so I stop sometimes on the way home, get a little of that yogurt place by the pound. Costs like 50 cents or whatever. She goes, I don't even know why I'm charging you. But I just like a little taste of it. And I'm not dieting because I've never been a dieter, but now I feel good about eating. I love eating. And I'm not losing a ton of pounds, but the inches are falling off. And I've been doing it since June 28.
Yes.
And I really have just been doing it straight through. And I've been keeping track of my inches. I've lost a lot of inches. I measure around here, top of my legs, and it shifts. That's been the amazing thing. Is sometimes it's like, oh, I lost an inch here above the knee, and then it'll come back a little, but then somewhere else is smaller. And I think I've lost a total of 20 pounds. But it's not the pounds because a lot of people aren't losing pounds. Care about the inches, how you feel. I feel great, and she's going to talk about some other things. I think it's the discipline of it, the power, the control or something has helped me do a lot of other things that I just, you kind of get caught up and my job doesn't bother me anymore. I have this mission. I just feel good. Like she says, like, oh, I can do this. And so I think anybody could do it because just like she said, you sleep all night. It really isn't that hard to go 15 hours because most of it's nighttime if you want it to be. So I think anybody can do this.
Was your husband on board with you?
Well, yeah, at first I was afraid to tell him, but now he thinks about the eating window.
Yeah.
So when we're traveling, he always kind of plans it because he's a eats all the time kind of guy. He loves breakfast and snacks. So he would say, well, he would come up with the solutions. So I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm thinking, well, if I eat breakfast with you at 9 or 10 on a trip, when am I going to eat again? Like, what is going to happen? So sometimes he'll say, well, what if we eat lunch at 2, and then that'll satisfy my second meal. Like I can have a real meal, and then he'll eat dinner when we get home or something. So he thinks of it now. Everything, we call that eating window is language that he uses too. Is it your eating window? When's your eating window? Because he's in on it.
Yes.
And we don't go to breakfast on Wednesday mornings. I start late. We used to go to breakfast every Wednesday morning to spend time, but we've changed that and do different things now. Pizza Friday night. So.
Yes, so we have different things. When we were at camp meeting, it was fun because I'd go to her trailer and then I'd look at Diana and say, my eating window is going to close in about an hour. And Steve would be going, well, I guess we should get some dinner on the table, don't you think? And then we would finish her up. And then, so you're able to adjust it with your husband and the things that are happening. So now I know this is kind of just between you and I, but Are you feeling things changing too, and your motivation and how you want to do things?
Well, that's what I was saying. I think there's a lot of things I've lived in a lot of fear because I didn't have per se a weight issue. I always felt self-conscious about eating for some reason. I was reading just recently. I was going through stuff with my kids, and we found this paper I wrote, fill in the blank, and it was all about I eat too much and do this. And I'm thinking, I never that probably was hardly 100 pounds when I wrote that, and so I'm like, how did I think that about? So I must have some deep-seated issue about that. And I decided I was going to go back to college, and I was like, things I never, I was going to extend some of my education and things like that, and took some tests and stuff. And it's just been like, wow, I really can do it. And I think we kind of were talking, it's kind of like you feel a little bit more empowered or something, because I seriously was afraid to eat in front of people. I would always want to eat alone. I didn't want people to see how much I was eating, and I really didn't think, and if I did eat a lot, I was so guilty. And now I just love it because I can order it and I eat it and I get the fries. I never ordered fries.
Yeah.
And I like French fries.
Yes. So we both have different ways of eating, but she's completely satisfied with the way she's eating, and I'm completely satisfied with the way I'm eating. And then when we do things together, we make it work. And then what's been fun is watching our spouses adjust to how our lifestyle is. And then you have kids that adjust to it, and different people. And then pretty soon, like I said, my office is doing it, and my family's doing it, and pretty soon it's like this ripple effect.
What happens at work too, people are noticing too, because now they're starting to notice a little bit about things, and then they're asking me, they go, you go that long? I go, I know a lot of times I go 24 hours, because if I don't get that 2:00 lunch, I'm sure not going to blow it on something I don't really want to eat. I'm going to wait until I can eat something I want to eat, and then it's almost bedtime, so then it's been only an hour or two, so I just stop and I'm fine. And my daughter's been doing it at camp meetings. She started. She hadn't read the book, and so she was always calling us during meetings and texting, can I have this? Can I have that? And and that's why then the kids, her girls, they're not eating in between meals, because the mom isn't eating in between meals, which they need to not be eating in between meals, which that's something we know is healthy for us. So that's basically all it is if you're doing a 5 or 6 hour eating window, you're eating your regular meals, you're just not eating in between meals, and you're going to go all that time without eating your next meal.
There it is. All right. Well, thank you, Diane. I knew this would be good. I'm going to have testimonies each time. But you can see why I got so excited, how I wanted to have this seminar, is because I'm starting to see that not only my life is changing, but other people's lives are changing. And I told my brother, I said, since he's the one who's lost the 30 pounds and his A1C has gone from 12 to 6, I said, Angela, the crazy thing is you're helping people you'll never meet, because you're doing this. You're being disciplined. And isn't it cool to think that you're helping people that you may never meet just because you're being obedient and doing what you want to do? And see, it goes back to the story of Daniel and his friends. Our society, the world we live in, is trying to change who we are. They're trying to change our names. They want us to assimilate into a society that keeps us sick, who always is about buying things and money. And God wants us to be empowered and live a different way of life. So I'm going to send you off in this next week with our 28 days. So by the time I see you next time, we'll be 14 days in. Won't that be exciting? Well, next time we'll be talking a little bit more about the eating windows and the time-restricted eating, and then we're going to start talking about feasting. The book is Fast, Feast, Repeat, and so that's the thing that I love too. This isn't just about fasting. Like Diane and I said, when we actually eat, I've never been so full in my life. And I love that. I used to just eat a little tiny bit, and I was kind of like her too. I don't know. I think society makes us feel bad about our bodies, and as women, there's always a stigma to eating. And deep down, this is getting rid of the stigma. No, I'm going to eat, and then I'm not going to eat. And so I have found that this is just empowering. So now I'm going to open it up for a few minutes for questions. Carlin, did you have a question? I know you raised your hand way back when. Oh, I can ask you. Okay. So you mean on the up and down approach? Yes. What she does on the up and down approach, yes. She says on your down day, you're going to not eat for the 24 hours. It's a down day. And then you wake up and you eat normal. You, well, you can have breakfast and lunch, dinner. Oh, no, like this, however you want. She wants you to eat more because you don't want your metabolism to slow down. See, part of Diane's problem was that she wasn't eating a lot, but her metabolism was so slow because it wasn't getting enough food. It thought it was starving. So when you're doing the up and down day approach, the crazy thing is that when you're fasting or the down day, yes, you're not eating and you're in fat burning mode. You're doing the autophagy. Your body's doing a lot of cleanup and it's very good for you. But on the next day, you don't want to not eat because then it's going to start thinking it's starving and then it starts to slow down its metabolism. So you want to eat normal. So she would do 3 down days and then the rest. So like Janet with her weekend, with all the kids coming over and all that, she would just eat normal. She'd had breakfast with them, and then she had a lunch after church, and then she went for a tea with her mom, and she had a dessert. Then she woke up on Sunday, and she ate a lot on Sunday, and then you would start with a down day and then not eat. So that's how she orchestrates the up and down day approach. They find that... they've written books about it. I tried it once, but I was not in the fasting. It was too hard for me to go the 2 days. I could probably do it now, but what she found was that it really took probably, if you're looking to lose the weight, you probably need 3 down days. And so, and like I said, if you're busy on the weekends and you're always eating, it might really work for you. And like I said, what I've done is I mix it up. There's sometimes I go 24 hours, and sometimes the 24 hours is not just about eating. Like I said, I did a 40-hour prayer and fasting for our daughters with my girlfriend, and so that was more about praying and putting things aside. So, but it was good from, my body was in autophagy and fat burning too. But so yeah, no, normal just means like your normal day with no fasting, no window, nothing. Yeah. The harder thing too is then you have to pick a day that you, like they say, you're really busy, and then you got no, no social things going on. It's a day with no family or obligations, or someone who understands it. Yes, Diane. That day, yeah. Yeah, so like I said, but I have a harder time with the up and down day because I like to wait till noon to eat, and so I've just gotten into different habits. But there's just days, and like I said, so for some people, or maybe for a certain amount of time, that will work, and then you can go back to the eating window. So. The hard thing is that it's really so individual. What's normal for you may not be normal for me. Because like I said, when I tell Diane what I usually eat, my hard-boiled eggs and my toast and my vegetable soup, she's just like, that sounds terrible. And it makes me so happy. And then she's got certain foods that I'm just thinking, burnt English muffin? What? And then, so, but the key is if I'm happy with what I'm eating, then yay, so that I'm going to stick with it. If you're miserable, then you're never going to make a diet work. You want to make it work with who you are, and then it just fans out. Anybody else? All right. Well, let's go ahead and Carla. Okay. No, that's fair. I'll just repeat it. Yeah. Well, they kind of can go either way now. So like I have gummy vitamins. So my gummy vitamins, I'm going to eat those with food because it makes my body think that I'm having food, and so you want to adjust that. If you can take your medications with food, it's always better to do that anyway. They say sometimes if your body and I take some vitamins without on an empty stomach sometimes. I try to avoid it sometimes. So, but I mean, if it's your blood pressure medicine or other medicines, but they say sometimes if you have the food, the medicine in your stomach, then you're not going to be secreting insulin, but it may slow down the autophagy. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, those are what she calls the those are the gray areas. Now, the gray areas, if they work for you and it doesn't stop any of your weight loss, then perfect. And then I just say go for it. And then, but if you find that wow, I was losing weight and then all of a sudden it's stalling now, kind of like Sherry with her hazelnut coffee, then you need to tweak it a little bit and kind of try to change it. But yeah, I would just take your medicines and see how that goes. And but like I said, I like those. Because I'm a food person, so I like the gummies, and so I can't have my gummies until I'm eating because that gets me going. So it just yeah. Oh yeah, and the flavor, and I chew, and yeah, no, I love the gummies just because it tastes good. Yes, Gloria. hmm Gloria said that she read on the internet that you can have lemon in your water, and you can read on the internet that you can have bone broth, or you can have a little bit of uh, cream in your coffee, or that kind of thing. But just the lemon in your water. But she says no. No, 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 because you taste that lemon and your saliva, you think about the lemon in the water and your saliva is going to squirt and it's going to taste insulin because you're going to be tasting this lemon thing. And then as you sip that lemon water all day, you're going to be secreting insulin and then you're not going to be in fat burning mode. Like I said, and then the crazy thing is, like I said, until I started clean fasting, I didn't start losing any weight. It was, and then when you have the lemon in your water or a little bit there, you're hungrier. I promise. It's much harder to fast when you've got some flavor going on, or your stomach thinks some food is coming. I find that when I'm clean fasting, I can go a long, long time. Add a little lemon to my water, and it's going to send me over there. So I don't think it's worth it. Now, you can have lemon in your water during your window. I mean, those are like, I have those Crystal Light drinks. Boy, my window opened today, and I just get that with all my ice, and I just sip it, and it's delicious. And you want, I mean, we want our vitamin C, and you want that kind of thing. You just want to do it in that window. Like I said, the clean fast, I can't even negotiate it. It's just plain water, black coffee, black tea, and then no flavors. No, no, and no, no, and that's the thing too. Yeah, I'm. This is not. If you're Seventh Day Adventist, you don't drink coffee, then perfect. You don't have to have that or the tea. But for most Americans, coffee and tea is a staple. But what I'm just saying, no flavors. I wouldn't even risk it because then you're not getting the benefits from the fast. And if you're gonna go without food, we want all the benefits. I mean, really, that's what I think. So that's what she says in the book, and I have found. Because even at Janet's party, they had lemon in the water, and I thought, oh, I got all scared because I could taste it, and then I just thought, and I was eating, so I was okay, but I wouldn't have, if my window was closed, I wouldn't have drank any more of it. So, yeah. No, no, and that's the thing too. You're gonna find all the books, they all have different things. Dan says I'm wrapping it up. Yes. All the different things you're going to find that there's going to be different people have different opinions about things, and that's okay. You can work with it. That's why I'm teaching from this book though, because out of all the different books that I've read, this is the one that's been the most the easiest, the most practical, and just easy to use. So. Yeah, and it works. So, all right, let's go ahead and close with the word of prayer, and I hope I'll see you guys next week. Dear Lord, we just thank you so much for this time together, and we just thank you that you know our bodies and you want us to be healthy. I pray, Lord, that you will be with us this week as each one of us tries to do our fasting and tries to be obedient to a way of life that is hard for us. And God, we just know that with your help, we can do anything. Help us to remember those those Daniel and his friends and how they made a decision to do the right thing and to eat in the right way. And you made them healthier and 10 times smarter than everybody around. And Lord, we just are going to claim that promise that when we do what you ask us to do, you're going to help us. And we thank you for that. Lord, be with us as we leave now and help us to have a great week. In your name, amen.